All right, welcome to the After Hours of TC Restani, the podcast. I am talking to my longtime close personal friend, the one and the only, the greatest Rey cosplayer in the galaxy, my good friend, Whitney Wickham. What's going on, Whitney?
Hi, how are you?
I'm fantastic. This is the first time we've done one of these Skype interviews with anybody in the universe, and I'm glad it has to be you.
Well, I'm thrilled. I'm so excited that you asked me to do this. I mean, when you said that, I kind of hit the floor. I was like, really, me?
How did you get into cosplay?
I was always kind of one of those weirdos that would wear things to the grocery store when I was like 5, 6 years old, and it never really stopped. So my family sort of thought that there was something wrong with me because I used to go to the thrift store and I would buy things like to look like characters that I enjoyed. And I grew up in Montana, so I really was a weirdo because nobody does that there. Everybody's wearing cowboy hats and jeans and boots, and I'm out walking around wearing like a dress that looks like a witch from Hocus Pocus or something, and it just never really stopped. So when I moved to Los Angeles, my senior year of high school, I started to realize that that was actually a thing. I had never been to a convention before. I'd never done anything like that. And so I went to my first con, and it was something real small, like a little toy show or something. And I didn't dress up because I felt like that's not anything anybody does. You should kind of be an adult about things. And then I noticed that, yes, they do. They absolutely do dress up. So it sort of steamrolled from there. But then I got into princess performing, going to birthday parties as different princesses and things. And I realized I was actually really good at what I did, and that the kids really truly believed that I was these characters. And that sort of just became the new norm for me, that every weekend I was cosplaying professionally for charity events and birthday parties and things like that. And then when I saw The Force Awakens, I wasn't even sure I was going to do Rey. I wasn't sure that I would like her. I mean, this new Star Wars film, is it going to be bad? Is it going to hold its honor to the original trilogy? Us purists that are like, oh, 4, 5, 6. And so when I saw the film and I saw her, I just absolutely fell in love with her, and I was like, I have to do this.
Well, Rey, in my opinion, was the best part of The Force Awakens, and I'm not just saying this because you imitate Rey. I thought Daisy Ridley made The Force Awakens. I mean, Harrison Ford was great, Carrie Fisher was great, Mark Hamill for the 30 seconds he was in it was great, but Daisy's performance as Rey, it brought back the magic of the original trilogy, and you just fell in love with this new character 30 seconds after seeing her.
Right. I would agree. I mean, you see her up on, this engine block of a Star Destroyer, and you're going, who is this person? I want to know who this is. And then as she drops down, you're just like engaged in everything from that moment on. And it's hard to explain or describe why that is, but everything from the music to the cinematography to then her presence on the screen just is so engaging. It's hard to not love Rey. I kind of have an issue if anybody says that they don't like Rey. They can tell me they don't like Force Awakens. Fine, I understand. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but Rey herself, if you don't like her, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah,
sorry.
There's something totally wrong with you. I mean, what's not to like? She's the girl next door of the universe.
Right.
I mean, every guy I know that saw the movie, I go, all right, off the record, what'd you like? What do you think about The Force Awakens? Oh, I thought it was really good, but Rey was my favorite. Does that make me sound weird because I'm a guy saying that Rey was like this generation's Luke Skywalker?
Right. Absolutely.
And when you saw her on the screen for the first time, did it resonate? How quickly did you become Rey after you saw The Force Awakens?
I want to say it was probably about a minute after I saw her take off her head wraps. I looked up because you see all of these trailers and teasers and things, and you think to yourself, that's cool. People were like, oh my gosh, you look like her, you should totally do it. But it didn't really hit me until I saw it on the screen. And then my 7-year-old looked at me when I took him to see it the next day after, because you got to make sure that it's appropriate for your kid. And he looked up at the screen and he looked at me and he goes, Mommy, it's you. And I was like, okay, it's solidified. That's it. Because I thought to myself, it's uncanny how many features we have that are similar. Plus she's British, and I just love being a British person. I wish I was British. And then to have my 7-year-old say that, I was like, yep, okay, that's it. We're done. She's it. She's my character.
Now, does your kids want to bring you to school for show and tell and say, look, my mother is really Rey from Star Wars?
It's funny because any other character he's embarrassed about, I've picked him up as Elsa before. I've dropped him off as Tifa, and he will hide his face and pretend like he doesn't know me. When it's Ray, he's grabbing my hand so fast it's not even funny. He's like, Ray, let's go. We'll go get in the Falcon right now, and you can fly me home. And he's totally all about it.
Now, Force Awakens hasn't even been out a year yet. I mean, and how quickly did you, I mean, you said instantaneous you are related to the character, but how quickly did you get the costume all together? And when was your first con as Rey?
Well, okay, so movie came out in December. I started the costume the 2 days after. And I've since done 3 versions of the shirt, and the costume that I have now I call Rey 3.0 because it really is, there's nothing left of the original photos. So all those photos that you've seen circulating of me are my first costume, and there's so much wrong with it. I mean, I almost can't even look at the photos because I'm like, that costume just, it's not screen accurate. It's not correct. So that was my third shirt, third pair of pants, like 4th set of arm wraps. The staff took me 200 hours to make.
200 hours?
Yeah. I built that out of hardware from the hardware store. And my husband helped me with a lot of that, but we literally took pieces, pictures, pieces of each thing and took it to the hardware store and said, we're looking for this part. And build it out of PVC and metal pieces. And it's been quite controversial at a lot of cons because it is perfectly balanced for combat. And it weighs about 8 pounds, 8.5 pounds. So there's been a couple conventions that they haven't let me bring the staff in because it is technically a weapon. I mean, it is a real staff. So I've had to promise that I'm not going to hurt anybody in order to take it into some places. But yeah, the first convention that I actually attended as Rey was Northwest Indiana Comic-Con, just outside of Chicago, and that was in February. But prior to that, I did a couple photo shoots, things like that, with Rey 1.0, and then I competed in the costume contest and got second best in show, and that was with Rey 2.0. And there still were things on the staff that weren't 100% correct. And then finally by C2E2, which was March or April, I had everything done. It was solidified.
Now, you just recently came back from, was it Germany that you did a Comic-Con over there?
I went to Germany. That's where my husband's family's from. So we visited there, and then we went to Celebration of Star Wars in London.
Oh, in London, that's right.
Yeah, but we only went for the one day on Saturday.
And how was that experience over there with hundreds of thousands of crazy Star Wars fans?
It was surreal. It was absolutely surreal. I mean, I cried walking in the door. I cried leaving. It was crazy. But I noticed what was weird about it is that I had people coming up saying, oh my gosh, you're Whitney. I know you. I've seen your photos. I've seen R2 Skate 2. I've seen your Rey. I've seen your Disney Princess Rey, which is who I attended as, was Disney Princess Rey instead of Rey. And, but it wasn't as much as around here. Like I go to Indie PopCon or C2E2 or Wizard World, and I'll have tons of people come up and they've been following me. They know who I am. And relatively in a short period of time, because I didn't take cosplay that seriously until Force Awakens. That's how crazy this whole thing has been. So they don't really seem over there in Europe to be much of the cosplay follow types, I guess. But it didn't really matter to me because I wasn't really there for the cosplay. It was more of I have to cosplay because I love this and because I kind of have to, just because I would feel bad if I went home and didn't do it. But then I was really just there for the experience of what is it like to be at Celebration of Star Wars. I mean, this was my first Celebration of Star Wars. I'd never been before. So
really?
It was kind of like sinking all of that in on how many people this, franchise touches and how many people love it as much as I do. I mean, I'm a crazy person, and there are that many crazy people in the world.
We're all crazy people. We're all crazy people that are involved in Star Wars. Now, I've never been to a full-fledged, big Star Wars convention, per se. I've been to small little cons here and there, but I've been fortunate enough to actually meet 90% of the actual cast of Star Wars in my lifetime. And that is a thrill all its own right there. I mean, I have stories upon stories upon stories about how I met these people, and it's just, they're the coolest people in the world. I mean, they have their own little quirks and whatnot, but to say, I'll admit it, I waited 17 hours to meet Harrison Ford in a snowstorm. Okay? And I did it. I waited. I met him. I got his autograph. He was one of the coolest people I've ever met. Very shy, but I'm like, dude, you just met Han Solo. I mean, most people can't say that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we were standing 10 feet from Anthony Daniels and Warwick Davis there on stage, and my 7-year-old is jumping up and down screaming, oh my God, it's C-3PO. And my 3-year-old, of course, is following in suit. He's like, it's C-3PO. And it's surreal because, I mean, we haven't had the opportunity to meet any cast members. I was supposed to meet Carrie Fisher at Wizard World in Chicago, and unfortunately that fell through just due to my scheduling. I wasn't able to go to the meet and greet, and I was devastated. I mean, it's such a crazy thing to look at these people and go, I respect you as a person, I respect you as an actor, but you're that character to me as well. And that almost takes precedence over you being that actor.
They've gone.
You're right. You walk away thinking, "Oh my gosh, I just met Han Solo." Not, I just met Harrison Ford. You met Han Solo.
Right. They've gone beyond being a human being. They are those real life characters. They've gotten older, but they are still that character. When I met them, it's like, you know what? 1,000 years from now, people are going to still know who Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Obi-Wan Kenobi are. And to say that I got the chance to rub elbows with them makes me feel immortal in a way.
Right. Yeah, it's like Carrie Fisher talks about how she feels like she's the guardian to Princess Leia, and that's so true. I mean, there's a million amazing Leia cosplayers, but there's really only one true Leia, and that is Carrie Fisher, 100%. You know, and you can look in a crowd of people and see this short, adorable little woman, but she is 100% Leia Organa. Like that will never leave her. She could win an Oscar for another movie. She'll still always be Leia Organa.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like Harrison Ford's always going to be Han Solo. Okay, I'll give him Indiana Jones a little as well.
Right.
Mark Hamill's always going to be Luke Skywalker. Carrie Fisher's always going to be Princess Leia. It's just something that's ingrained in the woven in the space-time continuum. It's never going to change, which is, in a way, I'm sure in their mind it's like, okay, it's a character I played. I'm really Mark. I'm really Carrie. But in the back of their mind, you know, they're thinking, you know, this is really cool because long after I'm gone, I'm not really going to be gone.
Right. It's that feeling of also their fans, how many people just absolutely love them just because of Star Wars. I mean, that's got to be a great feeling too, that this has not only immortalized them in the world and in people's minds and hearts, but it's that feeling of they've brought so many people together too, just through this fandom.
Oh, absolutely.
There's people all over the world that you can fight over the craziest things, but then you talk about Star Wars and it's like all fighting ceases. That's the end of it, you know?
This interview wouldn't be taking place right now if it wasn't for Star Wars.
Right, exactly.
See, I've made new friends all over the world because of that little movie that came out when I was 6 years old. Who would have thought 40 years later I'd be still meeting friends through Star Wars?
And you can still talk about a million different things with it too.
Sure.
Like you bring up all these different subjects that you can argue about, you know, what's canon, what's not canon. There are massive debates going on right now as we talk about things that have to do with whether or not things are canon or not canon, and what people's belief system is. I mean, it's practically a religion. That's almost sacrilegious to say that, but it practically is a religion. When I say that may the force be with you, I really mean it.
Hey, I'd join that religion tomorrow if it was actually took place.
Yeah.
Now, can you recall the very first time that you saw Star Wars and what kind of a impact it had on you?
I believe I saw Star Wars probably before I can remember, but I was 3 years old when as far as memory goes, when I first recall seeing Return of the Jedi and watching Leia on a speeder bike. And I was like, I want to be that. It wasn't about the Ewoks for me. They were cute and cuddly and that was fun. But for me, it was Leia on a speeder bike. And I will maintain that. I used to watch Return of the Jedi every Saturday because of Leia and her empowerment as a female. I was like, yeah, this is cool. Like, there's all sorts of princess movies and, other things that I watched. I loved, Black Cauldron and pretty much any Disney movie that had ever come out, I loved in general. But for some reason, Return of the Jedi was the thing that just resonated with me. I want to be a strong woman like that.
Because Leia was really one of the boys.
Right. And she could keep up with them. And she really put the guys in place too. She was kind and caring, but she didn't have a problem speaking her mind. And I almost wonder if a lot of my boisterousness in my relationships comes from me being kind of conditioned by Leia as a child. So Carrie Fisher, it's your fault that I'm a loud woman.
There you go. Now you have Rey in your life. Now, what do you think's gonna? How do you think Rey is going to evolve in Episode 8 and 9?
Oh my gosh, there's so many theories. The one that just kills me, I've heard so many times, is what are you going to do, Whitney, if she goes dark? And I'm like, oh, please don't do that to me.
I actually think that'll be awesome if she goes dark. I mean,
do you?
We've always been teased by it. Of course, Anakin went to the dark side, but I always thought it would have been really cool and a real different twist if Luke actually turned. That would have been awesome. Everybody expects him to be the good guy, but what if he switched? What if he switched at the last moment and did what the Emperor wanted him to do? What a wacky ending that would have been.
Right. Well, and in Extended Universe, he did, and Leia had to send another Jedi after him to bring him back from the dark side. And whether or not that's canon anymore, who knows? But that stuff happens all the time. I myself, I maintain I personally am a Sith. I deal in absolutes. Everything's black or white with me, and that's very Sith-like.
Well, most brunettes I know are Siths.
You what?
Most brunettes I know are Siths.
Yeah, I would imagine, and probably redheads too.
Right.
So I hope that she would evolve in a way that isn't to be expected. I think that it would be nice to see storytelling go back to a classic, non-archetypal way. We've become very static in our writing. I think that we expect things and the audience expects it to the point that they're upset if things don't happen the way that they want them to. So I think a lot of people are saying, oh, well, she's going to end up being Kylo's twin sister or Kylo's cousin. And that could be the way that it goes. But wouldn't it be nice if she evolved in some way that was not a theory that hasn't been seen before, and really throw us for a loop and still make the storytelling beautiful and engaging? I think that that's kind of my hope for Episode 8, but we'll see.
I really hope Rey doesn't turn out to be a Skywalker. I want her to be her own individual.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that would throw us for the loop. And I did hear a theory that I thought was very interesting, that the Force Awakening wasn't just Rey, that there's a possibility that it was both Rey and Finn that were awakening the Force. And I think that that would be an interesting turn too, is that what if Finn is Force sensitive? And because there are pinpoints in the film that you can look at and go, you know what, there's a possibility that that could be true.
He didn't know how to wield a lightsaber.
Right, he did. And he also kind of learned how to shoot really fast, and the look that he has when he's staring at Kylo in the village on Jakku. There's a lot of small moments that make you go, you know what, maybe he is Force sensitive, and wouldn't that be interesting? My friend Kale, who plays Finn with me when I play Rey a lot, we actually did a spinoff on that. What if Rey went dark and Finn stayed light? And we did a photo shoot like that as Dark Rey and Finn, with them battling it out. And that was kind of an interesting feeling. I was like, you know what, that's kind of cool.
One thing I hope we see in either Episode 8 or Episode 9 is they've hinted about it now for 2 movies, but I want to see maybe The Force Awakens could be about Leia. She's never really used the Force. I mean, she's sensed things, but she's never actually used the Force.
Right. And in the book, Rey, which is a children's chapter book, I don't know if anybody reads those things but me, but I like to kind of soak in as much information as possible. Leia has a lot of conversation with Rey near the end, talking about specifically her choice to not train as a Jedi, that she had the opportunity to and chose not to. And I thought that that was interesting that Disney decided to throw that in there, in the book, which they don't show in the movie at all.
Right.
So it does make me wonder, are they going to bring that up in the next episodes to come out? Are they going to talk about Leia's opportunities and why she chose not to follow that path?
Unbelievable. Now, of course, I think you're the greatest Rey cosplayer in the world. That's why I call you Cosplay Rey. Now, has Daisy Ridley seen your act?
I have no idea. I think, I don't know. I kind of ask myself if she hasn't. I don't know why, because there's so many people that send her things saying, look at this. I mean, literally, I've seen tons of tags of like, Daisy, look at Whitney. And I'm like, okay, she's never said anything to me about it. So I don't know for sure. I mean, Mark Hamill has seen it. I know that for sure, because I have gotten a private message for my birthday, which was very nice and sweet, and I about died just because of that. But yeah, it would be interesting to know if she's seen it or not. And I don't know if I want to know what she thinks of it, though, because she might say, like, you don't bring justice to this character.
I highly doubt that. I think she would be flattered beyond anything else in the universe. I mean,
so
imitation is the best form of flattery, and it's uncanny how much you look like her. It's the way of the Force.
It is, and I don't know if I just look that way in costume, or if her and I standing next to each other would actually look alike. That would be a very interesting scenario to me, is that if we were standing in normal street clothes, if we actually would look that much alike, or if it's just the costume that causes it. But yeah, it is weird to me to see myself in photos, and especially if you do like an image search and your photo pops up and people think that it's a movie image, and you're like, no, that's my cosplay photo. Oh, that's so weird to me. I'm still getting used to that.
Now, besides being a cosplay actor, you are a professional actress, and you are now part of the Amazon, what is it, Amazon.com? Or?
Yeah, it's an Amazon Prime series that'll come out in fall.
That's called The Natural, and you play Agent Miller. Now, how did you get this gig?
Okay, so a friend of mine, I quit acting. I decided that I was going to just be a professional cosplayer all the time because I love geek stuff, and I was getting offers to do things, so why not? I have fun with it. Let's roll with it. And so my friend who decided recently that he was going to dive into professional acting, he was in IT for many, many years, and then one day he woke up and said, you know what, I've always wanted to act, I'm going to do this. And I was like, okay, you're crazy, because I did the LA grind for like 9 years and nothing ever happened, so have fun, I'll be here for your support, but go get them. And he came over one day and he pulled up this audition notice and he goes, you got to try out for this thing. This looks like you 100%. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I applied, and then sure enough, they sent me an email while I was at Celebration of Star Wars in London, actually, asking me to come in and audition. And the problem was that they were having their first set of auditions the day of Star Wars Celebration. And I was like, well, that's the Force for you. I'm here at Celebration and I can't do this audition. And then I read through the email again, and it says that there's another date for auditions the following week. And I'm like, oh, well, I can actually make that one. That's interesting. Okay. So I set up the time and I went up to Milwaukee and auditioned. But what was funny about it is that they sent me these sides to read for this part, Agent Miller. And I decided through her timbre and the way that she spoke that she was British, and it's a CIA show, so she shouldn't be British, she should be American. But I decided, you know what, I don't care, I'm gonna throw this and see what happens. So I went in and I spoke from the moment I entered the room until the time that I left in a British accent, never told them I was American. And I got home and I realized, oh my gosh, I may have tried to pull the wool over their eyes. I may have actually lied to these people. I should probably let them know that I'm American. So I wrote them an email and I said, if you need it in an American dialect, I can do that too, because I'm American and I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to, be deceitful in my audition. And he wrote me back a couple days later and said, we would like to offer you the role, and your audition was better than a resume. And by the way, if you accept the role, please understand that now you have to play Agent Miller in your Sussex British accent, because that's just the way she is now. We can't see her any other way. So that's kind of how that went down.
Well, that's your inner Carrie Fisher, because remember, half the time she was playing Princess Leia in the original Star Wars with a British accent.
Right.
So there you go. The Force once again intertwines in cosplay Rey's life.
Well, and I think it's funny now, too, because it seems like every audition I get from here on out has been, can you do a British accent? So I think the universe just wants me to be British.
Well, there you go. There's nothing wrong with that, huh?
No. I mean, I don't mind it. I like it. I mean, I can jump in and out of it without a problem now. But it was funny because I spent so many hours watching interviews with Daisy and watching Force Awakens just to get the accent down that now Agent Miller is basically the same thing. So it's almost like me playing Rey as a CIA agent in a way, I guess.
Well, for our listening audience out there, give us a little of your British accent.
Okay, yeah. Now I want to jump into your Boston accent.
Well, that's copyrighted. You can't do that. But
oh, darn it. Yeah, I mean it's quite easy and simple to just jump in once you've done the practice and work on it a bit. I kind of look at my lines and all of the things that I'm supposed to be saying, and I try my best to sort of break it down. How would I speak if I was talking in that accent? And then I work on each little piece. That way, when I go in, I'm not thrown. But I actually find it's easiest if I'm in between takes. I don't drop my dialect at all. I stay completely in character the entire time, which is funny because when the extras come in and they're listening, they're like, oh, she's really British. And they're fooled by it. And then I'll just drop it like that and go, no, I'm not. I'm American. And they're like, whoa, what happened?
Now, give us the 411 about The Natural. What is the storyline about this?
Sure. So what I can tell you, because there's a lot of things that I'm not allowed to say, but there's a CIA type group. They're run by the funded by the CIA, but they don't necessarily answer to the CIA, and they're called CORE, and that is comprised of a group of people: Agent Miller, which is myself, Agent Smith, who's played by Craig Olson, Agent Garcia, who's Nino Guerrero, and Agent Davis, who's the team lead, our boss, who's played by Keith Kelly. They all work together on different types of CIA type things, usually around terrorism, stuff like that. But then they get this one file that comes across their desk, and they're requested to go and follow this James Wilson. And so they follow him for about a month, and they have no idea why they're following him. What are they supposed to be watching for? What did this guy do? And then after about a month of watching him, they notice that there's something very, very different about him, and they're asked to bring him in. And they still don't quite understand why they're asked to bring him in, but then they find out that there's something very different about him that could technically be a threat to world security. And then they're in hot pursuit of this particular person. So it's a different take on things. I wish I could say more than that. I know that that's very vague, but anything more than that kind of would give away the actual reason why they're following him.
And when is the actual debut of The Natural on Amazon?
That is TBD at this point. I know that it's supposed to go up sometime in November. We're doing a cast meeting to see the pilot finished editing and everything near the end of October, but our fearless director, Barry Gilmore, I had some sort of weird thing there. Barry, his wife is having a baby, so the editing process is taking longer than it normally would. But we do go back to set in December, and then those next 5 episodes will go up starting like January, February, and then we're slated to do 13 episodes for this first season.
Unbelievable. Now, I could be on the threshold here of interviewing the next biggest thing in Hollywood, and you heard it right here on the After Hours of TC Restani podcast. This is unbelievable. This is going to be archived for eternity, because I have a funny feeling, because you're not only a wonderful person, you're a Star Wars fan, and you're one talented individual. I think this show is going to be picked up. I think everybody in the world is going to go crazy for The Natural, and everybody's favorite will be Agent Miller, who really isn't British.
I hope so too. I mean, when I read the first script, it literally was the first 10 pages. I'm reading it going, okay, yeah, CIA, yeah. We've seen this before, whatever. And then there's just this plot twist where I literally dropped my script and went, oh my God, this is better than Heroes. And my director, when he found out that I felt that, he was really teary-eyed about it. He goes, I can't believe that you said that because Heroes is one of my favorite shows. And I said, no, I really truly believe that this show could be better than Heroes. If that kind of gives you an inkling a little bit about what is there. But it's just, there's something special about this show. The writing's different and the people on set are different. And it kind of like, I guess in a way, sort of like Star Wars that way too, is that you've got this camaraderie with the people that are there. I've been on a lot of sets where people are just real jerks, and you hear stories about Star Wars and how much of a family they are. Well, it's the same with us on The Natural. We have literally become a huge family now. We tweet each other crazy things. We message each other crazy, stupid things. My friends are now telling me, like, could you stop doing these inside jokes with your friends from your set on Facebook, because we're kind of tired of not understanding what you guys are talking about. But we really are a family. So it is my hope that we'll stay grounded and, just be the nice people that we always strive to be, and continue to push forward with that, but still have a very successful run with the show.
Now, when this show becomes a huge success, are you going to lobby to get Daisy Ridley to be a guest star on your show?
Oh my God, I would love it. I would want all of them to. But, our director's a crazy nerd too. I mean, he makes all these references to Star Wars and Star Trek and, all sorts of crazy things. Power Rangers he uses a lot. So it's like, I think that he would die and go to heaven immediately if we could ever get Daisy Ridley or even Mark Hamill or somebody on the show. Even for a second, he would just go crazy.
You never know.
I would go crazy. I don't think I could live. I'd be putting my head in a closet somewhere if they said, by the way, Daisy's going to be a guest star today. I'd be like, I gotta hide.
Nah, you'll be fine. I mean, they're just people. You got to remember that. They're just people.
Right.
Now, before I let you go, I have to hear, since you made reference to it a little while ago, I want to hear your Boston accent.
All right. So when I was a kid, because again, my family's crazy and I'm crazy, they would have me do these crazy accents as a child. So my aunt would make me say things like, there's a monster crab, a big old monster, or you knocking on me. I'm not that good at it though. It's one that I would have to really practice, I think. I know I've offended everybody in Boston. They're like, that was terrible.
No, actually, Kevin Costner offended us. Did you ever see the movie 13 Days?
No.
Okay, well, he plays an assistant to Kennedy in the movie. And when I saw it, 15 years ago, and he's out of the line, this is your report card. And everybody in the audience just like went, you suck, Kevin. That was horrible. It just, I mean, a lot of people tried to do it right. The only person who ever got it right was Cliff Clavin on Cheers. And the reason was he's from here. He's from Connecticut. So he actually picked up the dialect. Every time you see a movie with a Boston accent, it's just embarrassing. And but yours was good. I mean, everybody goes, you got to park your car in the Harvard yard.
I think Bostonites have this very special thing, though, is that you can tell 100% if somebody's really, truly from there or not, or if they're just, jacking around on it. It's easy to get away with like Southern or even other parts of the Northwest or California, wherever else you're going in the United States. It's very easy to mimic, but Boston's special that way. I think that that's something very nice. You can always tell a Bostonite, and I love it. I think it's great because you can make Chicago accent is even easier than that. So I love meeting people from there because I'm like, oh, if only. That's such a great dialect to use. So.
Oh, I get picked out everywhere around the country where I go to. Oh, you're from Boston. Oh, yeah. Everything's wicked pisser where we're from. Yeah, wicked pisser. It's just.
But I think it's something to hold in your heart because it's like, you're right. I am from Boston, and.
We're Boston born, Boston bred. We'll be Boston bad to the day we be Boston dead.
See, you even have sayings for it. So we don't have things like that out here in Chi.
Yeah, well, you have good pizza out in Chicago, I've heard.
We do. Well, it depends. It depends on your taste, I guess. I'm not from here originally. People are going to kick me out of Chicago now. See, now I've offended Chicago and Boston all in one fell swoop. But I don't really do pizza that much. So.
Well, there you go. Unbelievable. So what's in the future for cosplay Ray? What are you gonna bring to your cosplay costumes? Obviously, when episode 8 and 9 come out, I'm sure you're gonna get the outfit for those. But what do you want to get out of being Ray?
Well, I am working on Resistance Ray, which is the last costume. I'm part of the Rebel Legion now here, the Narshada base out of Chicago, and I love doing things with them. I always say that's my happiest time. That's my happy place, is doing events with Rebel Legion. And my reason for that is because when you go to events such as like Make-A-Wish or American Heart Association, places like that, you really get to touch the lives of people who need it most. Mm-hmm. And so using cosplay to reach out to people who are downtrodden, having a hard time, I think that that's something that we don't get enough of in our world today. There's so many negative things. And so being able to bring, an hour, 2 hours, whatever, an afternoon to people who really deserve to have something happy happen in their life, I think that that's the number one thing. There's so many people out there that want to use cosplay as a springboard to fame. That's never my goal. It literally is just to have fun doing what I love to do, and in me having fun doing that, I hope that it brings a smile to somebody else too.
It's Halloween 364 days a year.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And it's construction time in my house 364 days a year, 24 hours a day, because the only day I have off is Christmas Day. And even that is debatable because I'm literally building something every second. My staff is never done. I'm working on blasters right now, all sorts of things. I have a cosplay dungeon. My basement's my cosplay dungeon where I build and create things, but I will walk around the house looking for parts and things. So I will leave a blaster here, a wig there. And my husband will come home from work and he'll be like, I see bobby pins and glitter and glue and fabric, all these things that you've left lying all over the house. Could you pick one spot to do your creations? Would be great. Just one place. I gave you the basement, leave the rest of the house for us. And it's just never going to happen. He's going to have to get used to it.
Now, what do you think about Rey's lightsaber? You think Luke's going to give her his old one, or you think she has to create a new one?
That would come down to whether or not they believe old order rules should stay intact. I hope she has to build her own. I think from her core, being somebody who builds things from scraps in general, that she would want to make her own. I wish that she would have purple. That would be amazing, in my opinion, to have a purple lightsaber, but we all know that Mace Windu stole that from us all, that was in contract. So chances of her having purple are probably slim to none. But I would love to see her do a quarterstaff, like Darth Maul in purple. That would be amazing, that she made herself. That would be so cool.
Oh, there you go. There's your new cosplay project for the summer right there.
Right? What would you want her to have?
I think it would be really, well, I think if she got Anakin/Luke's lightsaber, it would bring a lot more tension to when she has to confront Kylo Ren again, because he thinks that's his birthright. That belongs to him. I'm a Skywalker, and this non-Skywalker has it. I think that would be a duel of fates, to say right there, for over the legacy of Anakin/Luke's lightsaber.
That's actually a really good point. I didn't even think of that. That's actually a really, really, really good point. Darn it. Now more things to think about.
Unbelievable. Now, for the fans out there who want to follow you, what is your Twitter handle?
Sure. It's Whitney Wickham, WHITNEY WICKHAM. Or, find me through you. That's probably easy since we do all sorts of back and forth every single day.
That is true. You are one of my favorite Twitter people out there. It's like I've known you for an eternity, and we've really only known each other for about 6 months. See,
it's that force thing, though. When you find somebody through the force that has, a connection, that never leaves.
It does never leave. So whenever you come to Boston, we'll have to show you around, and
right?
Vice versa if I ever end up in Chicago.
Oh my gosh, I would love it. I would love it if you came out here.
Well,
some deep dish.
I will bring my entire whack pack that I have on this show that are not here tonight doing this interview. And you're from Montana, right?
Yes.
Well, you have to meet my co-host, Colonel Bo Montana. I mean, he is one unique individual, and you will never, ever, ever forget this guy.
See, and that was so funny because the first time that I saw anything with him, I asked you, was he from Montana or was that his nickname?
That's his nickname.
I got overly excited over that word Montana. It was a little overzealous.
Well, his nickname actually comes from his obviously his God-given name is not Bull Montana, and I would never give away his real name. But Bull Montana, for those of you who don't know out there, not only is my co-host on the show, but did you ever see The Godfather?
Yes.
Remember Luca Brasi?
Yes.
Luca Brasi was a professional wrestler who wrestled under the name Bull Montana. And when a friend of mine who's no longer with us first met my Bull Montana, gave him the name Bull because he reminded him so much of Luca Brasi, and it just stuck.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's how Bull got his name. So everybody out there who one fascinating interview wanted to know why Bull Montana is Bull Montana, it took my good friend Whitney Wickham to get it out there. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, Whitney.
Oh, no, thank you so much for having me. And I hope, again, that maybe I'll come to the East Coast for some convention soon or something. We can meet up. That'd be great.
That'd be awesome. And may the Force be with you.
And with you as well.